Hi everybody, Dan Illman here with some exciting news. DRF Formulator, the gold standard in past performance information, is now free, exclusively on DRF Bets. Join DRF Bets with the promo code WINNING, get a $250 first deposit match bonus, a $10 free bet, and free Formulator already uploaded to your account. Access Formulator's premium features, including sortable trainer stats, race replays, personalized trip notes, and lots more. Free Formulator, exclusively on DRF Bets. Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer. One of the sure signs of spring is racing at Keeneland, and opening day Friday features two graded stakes races, including the Transylvania, race number 8, going 1 1/16 miles on the turf for 3-year-olds. $400,000 is the purse. Let's take a look at this field. It's not a big field, but it's a pretty competitive one. Chad Brown, of course, is very well represented, Mike. He has the 6 Verbal at 2-1 on the morning line, the favorite, and the longest shot on the board, the recent debut winner, Napoleonic War.
Yeah, neither of those horses obviously impossible. Certainly Verbal, in some ways, is the horse to beat. 2 for 2 as a 2-year-old last year for Chad. He won the Grade 3. Out there at Del Mar at the end of the year from well off the pace. I mean, this horse ran really well in both of his starts, but he doesn't really hold that much of an edge on this field, Dan, unless he's going to come back and take a pretty big step forward.
In a short field going 2 turns on the turf, you often don't see a very fast pace, and Timeform US believes that this race will favor horses on or near the early lead. And last year, Mike, we saw Coinage take advantage of a very similar situation when wiring them at Saratoga in the With Anticipation. She's expected to make the front here.
Yeah, I mean, and it certainly looks like a race that could play out that way. I don't think he's going to be able to go as slow as he did in the With Anticipation, Dad. I mean, he absolutely crawled that day. They might not go fast here, but I don't think they're going to go that slow.
Let's sink our teeth into the Transylvania by beginning with the number 1, Credibility, a horse that might have been compromised by a lack of pace last time out when beaten by Coinage in the Palm Beach. He kind of just sort of settled near the back of the pack. I wish he made a run. I know he might have been pace compromised, but I wish he did something.
I agree with you. You could say that the way that the race played out in front of him worked against him a little bit. He really didn't put in any kind of a run through the stretch, though, which was disappointing. He saved a lot of ground, too. So, he doesn't get that excuse of sort of being wide trying to make a run. I don't know, Dan. He's obviously going to be one of the longer prices in here, but I don't think he's, impossible in this race. He ran some good races last year. I actually remember betting him in the Bourbon over course and distance last October. He ran really, really well that day against a couple of nice horses.
Some folks might look at the number 2 Napoleonic War's debut, see that 55 Beyer speed figure, and immediately draw a line through him, reasoning that he is stepping up way too tough and is overmatched on the speed figure scale. But let's peel the onion back just a little bit and watch his career debut at Tampa Bay, because this was a race where there was no pace whatsoever. They went 51-2 to the half in a 1-mile turf race, and Napoleonic War is rallying from next to last. He shows a lot of determination. He's obviously a well-bred horse in the Brown Barn. He ducks down towards the inside. It's hard to get a big figure in a slow-paced race, Mike. This horse might be lurking under the radar.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what price he goes off at. He's, you can't take that much money, you don't think. I don't know how big a price you're going to get just because of the connections. I'm with you, though. He ran a lot better than it necessarily looks on paper in his debut. 25, 51 and change, 116 and change, and then he's making up ground into about a 23-second flat last quarter. This horse ran first time out, and as you mentioned, he's a homebred for Peter Brandt, big pedigree. This is the Zenyatta family on the dam side. I suspect this horse can go with these horses. We'll see how tough of a step up this is for him.
The number 3 is Psy Dog, and this is another horse that doesn't have a lot of early speed, might be up against it somewhat from a pace standpoint, but he's done nothing wrong for Graham Motion. 2 for 2 in his career and beat a couple of next-down winners in the race will show you. The Central Park and Aqueduct on November the 27th. Now, Mike, I thought he was going nowhere at the 5/16. And you see Louis Saez aboard, just putting him to a pretty strong drive. He finally gets to the outside, sees some clean air, and once he changes leads, he's going to make a run, and somehow, some way, he got the bob.
Yeah, right. It never looked like he was going to get there through the stretch, but he does get there. And you can give him some credit for being really game to get the job done here. It's just his second start. He won his debut going 7 at Belmont, rallying into a really fast pace, but he came with a really good finish that day. He has talent. He ran fine in the Central Park. Not that it's a performance that I'm in love with, and I just feel like it's worth pointing out. We just showed the stretch run in the replay. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it again. Grand Sonata, who was also in that race, was going to win that race. He got totally stopped in the stretch. And Side Dog, all the credit you want to give him. He got very lucky to win.
And Grand Sonata, of course, bounced out of that troubled effort to win 2 stakes races at Gulfstream Park this winter, including the race we're going to show you, the Grade 3 Kitten Joy, where he just got a wonderful trip saving ground. And you're going to see he's going to have to squeeze his way through in between horses, but he was able to save ground in the pocket most of the way. He stopped here. It looks like there's nowhere to go. Now, finally, he's going to get to the outside, Mike, and he's able to show a lot of heart in the stretch. This horse is very talented.
Yeah, he's a good horse. This is the kind of trip, and you're right that it's not terrible trouble, Dan, but he got clear so late that easily could have gotten him beat there. Right. He just managed to hold his position until he did finally come clear, and he was just way the best in that race. He also ran one a lot easier than it looks two back when he was wide off of a really slow pace, and still managed to close that race down. I do think this is a step up in class for him, Dan. I don't think those 2 fields that he just beat at Gulfstream are as good as this field. But I just think this horse is good. He's run well in every one of his starts.
And his ability to adapt to any kind of pace scenario makes him dangerous. He might end up the favorite when all is said and done. Coinage is the number 5, and we saw him take advantage of a walking pace to win the Grade 3 with anticipation. He showed a new dimension, although I don't think it was by design in the Palm Beach last time out. They wanted to get to the lead. He just wasn't quick enough. He wound up in the pocket, and he was pulling early. Well, he eventually settled down, and Saez gave him a great ride. Let's watch him get to the outside just the right time, Mike, and he's going to come with a run to win with an 80 Beyer speed figure. Now, he did get the trip in this race. The thing I think you like best about Coinage is he's battle tested. He's already won 3 times. Several of these horses are stepping up in search of their 3rd lifetime win, and he's going to be likely either in front or in the fray when they turn for home.
Yeah, I feel like they just have to put him on the lead. I know he did it without the lead last time, but in this race, unless somebody just turns out to be on a mission, I don't see why they wouldn't put this horse on the lead this time and see what happens. I don't know, Dan. He's not a horse where I can find that one race of his that I like. I know he ran a pretty fast race in the With Anticipation at Saratoga last year, but I mean, he just had such a soft trip that day that I couldn't buy into him. He ran fine last time with a really good trip, and maybe that's a good sign for him. I go back to that Kitten Joy 2 back then. I can't get past it. He was loose on the lead in there. He didn't go fast, and Grand Sonata ran him right over.
That's a fair point. It was his first race off of a short layoff, but it sure looked like he was ready to fire. Verbal went 2 for 2 last year for Chad Brown. Chad found a great spot in the Cecil B. DeMille at Del Mar in his 2nd lifetime start. We're going to watch that race right now. Now, he got a very good pace to run at. Unlike his uncoupled stablemate Napoleonic War, Verbal was able to get some pace, and he got into the clear. This is a good closer's trip, but he finishes it off well enough. He beat a couple of next out winners. The 3rd place horse would come back to win the Eddie Logan with a 78 Beyer.
Yeah, he ran fine in here. I wasn't blown away by the performance, but just the fact that he got it done, I guess. It's only a 2nd start right off of a maiden win and shipping across the country. I mean, I guess those are all positives for this horse. Whose debut, I was really taken with his debut at Belmont Park. I thought he ran a giant race that day. And he just sort of looks like a horse who has a lot of ability for Chad. Would I bet him as the favorite against this field? Probably not. But we'll see what kind of price he goes off at.
As we take a look at our top picks for the Transylvania, basically what Mike's saying here is that if you just dismiss Napoleonic War based on his low Beyer speed figure, you might be facing your own personal Waterloo from a betting standpoint.
Yeah, we'll see. I didn't want to look at the race that way. The other problem that I had, Dan, is I don't really like any of the other horses. I'm a big Grand Sonata fan. As you mentioned, he might go favorite in here, and I didn't really want him as the favorite in here. So I'll just try Napoleonic War, and I'll play him with the 4.
I usually don't like playing horses coming off of good trips, but Coinage is the kind of horse that is tactical enough that it seems like he can pull a good trip whenever the pace is in his favor. And I think the pace will be in his favor in this race. Can he outkick a couple of very promising horses? We'll see, but maybe he'll drift up a little bit in the wagering. 2, 4, 6, and 3 for Mike, 5, 3, 4, 1 for me. It's the Grade 3 Transylvania. It's opening Friday at Keeneland. Best of luck.